I didn't get something to drink. That's why that intro was so long. What's going on? How
I'm over here vibing, just like, damn.
Yeah,
what kind of music video I step into?
Yeah, that's why I chose it, because I like the music. But yeah, my bad. I was getting something to drink. I'm thirsty, so I was telling Bronny earlier. I've been up since like 4 a.m. Don't know why, but it's okay. What's going on, everybody? My name is Suge, and we are here today to talk some NBA basketball with my good friends Jose, Bronny, and D Weezy from the Lunch Break Hot Take Crew, who just an awesome crew to hang out with, and this is going to be very interesting because if you saw our basketball, our football, baseball, naming every other sport we didn't talk about, our boxing, it was actually very cordial. It was very cordial.
It was. That was a lot of fun.
I don't think this one's going to be cordial. I think someone's going to get started yelling.
You're not anticipating a nice chill show.
No,
I think it's going to be a little bit. I think it's going to be a little bit more cordial than you realize. I don't think we're going to have too many disagreements, not passionate ones.
I know of one that's coming.
Yeah, we did.
One's coming. Yes, one's coming.
But before you get started, thank you for everybody that's hanging out with us. Appreciate it. Just make sure to hit that like button, hit the follow button. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers as soon as possible. Gonna be doing a lot of my content over here, video gaming, random discussion, sports discussion, maybe a little bit of Schmodown talk. I don't know if people watched that show last night, but I was not a fan of it, and so I'm going to let my thoughts be known very soon. But let's get into it, guys. So last week, I believe, during the All-Star break, All-Star game, they announced a 75 anniversary team for the NBA. I'm going to bring it up right now. Here's the list. I'll take it down, but we're gonna break it out. So here's the 75 list. Obviously, you got some greats in there: the Michael Jordans, the Magic Johnsons, the Bill Waltons, Jerry West, Patrick Ewings, Walt Frazier, Kevin Garnett, George Gervin. Just to name a few. James Harden. I don't know why his name's there, but we'll get into that. And so this list was released. It was released, and then there was actually a 76 player who I don't know who that is. I'll look for it in a minute. But on this list, there was 11 active players. Giannis, Carmelo Anthony, Stephen Curry, Anthony Davis, D Weezy, Kevin Durant, James Harden, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Damian Lillard, Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook. All 50 members of the NBA 50 anniversary team that was named in 96 were on the 75 anniversary team. The 75 anniversary team included 4 players who played in the first All-Star game in 1951. Wow, that's crazy. Kuzi, Mikan, and I cannot pronounce these last names. I apologize. And the first winner of the Most Valuable Player Award in Bob Pettit, and the first winner of the Bill Russell MVP Finals Award, Jerry West. Bill Russell joined Kuzi, Mikan, and Pettit as the only 4 players who have been named to all 4 NBA anniversary streams: 25, 35, 50, 75. There were 6 international players in Giannis. Why is Tim Duncan
really only 5?
So yeah, we're about to say there needs to be an amendment because Tim Duncan is not an international player.
Patrick Ewing from Jamaica, Steve Nash from Canada. I mean, Canada really international. Dirk Nowitzki, Hakeem Olajuwon, 5 NBA Lakers who are serving as ambassadors for the 75 anniversary season are part of the 71st anniversary is Clyde Drexler, Magic Johnson, Nowitzki, Pennant, and Oscar Robertson, representing the different eras in the league. And then, okay, so that's pretty much it. Yeah, I think that's about it. So first off, obviously this was great to see. You saw a bunch of legends together. There's some names I am so happy that they had on the team because I thought they were going to get snuffed. There's some people that should absolutely not be on this team anymore because I think as players get better, as the time of the NBA grows, there's some players that should not be in here. And I'm going to throw one out. Barkley should not be on this list. We'll get into that.
I got a better one for you. Bill Walton.
Wow,
no. Bill Walton was plagued by injuries, and he was.
That's a reason. That's a reason right there. We're not talking about potential. We're not talking about
hold on. Let me
what
ring the bell. Let me ring the bell.
It's already off the rails.
No. You're right. We're not talking about potential, but he won a championship.
Okay, we're talking about the greatest 75. There's a lot of people that won championships on this.
No, he won two. He won two, but he won one as the guy.
Yeah.
Barkley didn't do that. Patrick Ewing didn't do that.
I mean, but he was
great.
I mean, I look.
Oh, I know. I thought Jose was agreeing with D. I thought Jose was agreeing with
Bill Walton on this list just for his announcement. No. I don't even care about his playing.
Well, yeah.
Just for the announcement, he's on here. For me. But I think what you were mentioning, with as players get better, some of the names should fall off. But I think that depends on what the purpose of the list is, right? If you're talking about the 75 best basketball players, then right from jump, you should cut anybody who played before 1970, and basically the entire list would be from like the 90s on, right? But I think I don't think that list serves a lot of purpose, right? To say, hey, here's all the best players right now. But I think the point of it is to tell the history of the league, the story of the league, over that 75 years. And when you're doing that, like we did with the top 25 boxers, you have to have some of those guys who came before, even though as Jethro Jenkins says, even though Bob Cousy couldn't dribble with his left hand, like he was a big part of the league, right? He they say he kind of defined the point guard position, so he kind of has to be on there, if that's what that's what we're doing.
Let me ask you a question, Brodney. What if, yes, I agree with you as I'm the one that said it, as the time goes on, some players should fall off. But what if we're saying in that era of time, the best players should be on the list? So if you're looking at the 60s, you're looking at Bill Russell, you're looking at Bob Cousy, because and Pettit really are the only ones. Havlicek was in the 70s. Yeah. Elvin Hayes was, I believe, in the 70s also.
Walton hadn't really come along yet.
Yeah,
Walton, and Wilt Chamberlain. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
So I'm saying there's only a few of them. Like there's not just random names. Like Damian Lillard on this list. Why is he on this list?
Ridiculous.
Why I don't understand why he's on it.
Yeah,
I hate to say,
even from an impactful standpoint. I mean, he's an excellent player, but like, what impact does he really have? Like, you know what I mean?
Like, I know why this guy's on this list, but I'm gonna be honest with you, he shouldn't be on there. Dominique Wilkins should not be on this list.
So I was about to ask you, like, for your criteria, did they have had to win a ring for them to be on here? Because we can start cutting off a few people here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure Brodney's going to bring up the Mickey Mouse ring, but we won't get into that.
Why would I bring that up? I'm a Lakers fan.
I don't know, because I just feel you just want to argue with me this week. Okay, that's all we've been doing this week.
I mean, you could take off Karl Malone too, right? Because he never won.
But the difference is that Karl Malone stats. Well, Gary Payton won run a league with the Miami Heat. The problem he was rings are like this is the same argument. I hate when people give this argument when you're talking about the greatest players of all time, and they say, well, rings matter, but then rings don't matter. Well, if rings matter, then Robert Horry is the best player. No, it's not that he won rings. It's you got to be the man and win that ring. You got to be the best player on your team.
Remember that for later, sure.
God damn you, Brodney! You want to start with me?
Remember that for later.
Like greatest player of all time. I mean, we'll get into that conversation later. But just in terms of the list, like you can be great, one of all-time greats, and not have won a ring, right? Like I had no problem with Dominique Wilkins being on here.
Well, like Karl Malone. Karl Malone was what, the third at the time. Now he was like the third or fourth highest scorer ever, and then now people have passed him, so he's kind of moved down. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I know.
Barkley at one time was one of the greatest players to play. He's still a great player, but is he better than Kevin Durant? Is he better than Tim Duncan? Is he better than I'd maybe put him over Westbrook because Westbrook, they're kind of the same level.
Westbrook. But that goes to what B was saying before. Like it's all in your criteria. Like, are we talking about historically the impact they made at the time? Because Barkley did make a huge impact, right, on the sport.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
Did he? He showed that you could be fat and still play basketball.
Well, I mean, however you want to call it.
Models too, sure.
We do because I'm fat.
Hey, Charles Barkley is not a role model.
He is. He's not.
That's right.
Good morning, Davon. Good morning.
I mean, if we're just talking about straight talent, then a lot of these guys aren't making the list. Like, the league gets better and better as generations, go on. So, I mean, that's why I said if we're having a all-time draft, if you can draft any player from any era right now, there's an all-time draft. There's a lot of these guys you're not taking.
You're not taking them till later on. You're taking.
You're never drafting Bob Pettit, right?
Not until later.
Dolph,
yeah.
Like Dolph Shays. You're not.
Jerry
West.
I would take Jerry. I think you take Jerry West.
You would get crushed.
Eventually, you take Jerry.
No, I think a Jerry as a 2-guard sitting behind playing somebody that can dominate the ball. I think he would do perfectly fine.
I can probably name about 10 players I would draft before.
Owned in the Jordan era.
Yeah.
But here's the thing though, and this is where Karl Malone would stay on the list. He got to the finals multiple times. Barkley got there once. And then when he got there, he lost. But then when Jordan left, he couldn't get past Hakeem. And then tried to go join Hakeem to get there and still couldn't get there. That's my problem with Barkley.
You know what I'm going to say about Karl Malone, though?
No, go ahead. I don't like Karl Malone anyway,
I mean, he didn't get past Jordan either. And then he joined a super team with the Lakers and still lost.
Fair.
Detroit.
And by the way, you say he made it multiple times. He made it to the finals twice, but he also had another guy on this list on his team. Barkley didn't have that. Barkley made it by himself, essentially.
Well,
I mean, it was a good team, but there weren't any other.
Where's Thunder Dan? Thunder Dan should be on this list.
Hold up.
John Stockton was on
you can make an argument for KJ if you can put Damian Lillard on there. You can make an argument.
Bronny is being disrespectful now. The machine AC Green was on the Suns team, and you're not calling him multi-great. How dare you, Bronny? How dare you? Okay, that man played for how many years? And I think he only had sex with one woman. How dare you? Okay? God, Bronny, you're disrespectful. D, give us some of your thoughts. I mean, we'll get into who we think should be off the list. We already talking about it, but give us your thoughts on the list.
Well, yeah, I think, like y'all said, it's hard to make a straight comparison from different eras. It's been established. But I do think some players, they're monumental to the game, whether it be how the game was played, whether it be changes that came to the game, things like that. Like, there's just certain players that you can look at and pinpoint and point to as guys that help shape and change the game. And I think that goes a long way, regardless of what your statistics say, because that was people watching you play. That was people saying, yo, this guy defines what basketball is. This guy is what the NBA is. Like, that's a statement right there. There hadn't been too many guys in our generation where you would where one guy, not, he helped create a style of play or something like that. No, one guy changed the game.
Yeah, like kind of example of what you're saying there, George Mikan.
Exactly, that's a great example.
They widened the lane.
They doubled the width.
Yeah, from 6 to 12 feet because of George Mikan. They got the Mikan rule, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of why he's on these lists. Not that he would be that type of player right now.
Oh, he dominates right now. He dominates right now. Just dominate.
but yeah, he had that kind of impact on the game, and it's just about kind of respecting the history of the game, putting guys like that on the list. I mean, just to go back real quick, John Stockton was 24th on this list. Karl Malone's 23rd, and they got to 2 finals. Not real impressive, honestly. If we're being honest, not very impressive, but that's fine. Whatever. We can move on from that.
You're looking at the rankings. Is that the ESPN rankings?
Yeah, the ESPN rankings. They're Karl Malone's 23rd, John Stockton's 24th. They got to 2 finals. They couldn't win. It's fine. It's whatever. But so there are guys like Mikan who made that impact on the league. But then there's a lot of guys on here who didn't, and they're just on here just because. Right.
Yeah.
So that's where you got to get into that conversation of what is the purpose of the list, because Kyrie Irving is a guy that a lot of people argue about, right? That he's definitely one of the 75 best players of all time. And look, if we're talking about the 75 best players, yeah, he should be on the list. I mean, again, if Damian Lillard's on the list, he should be on the list.
Damian Lillard should not be on this list.
No, he shouldn't. He shouldn't. But I'm saying if that's going to be the criteria, but if we're talking about guys who have impacted the league, the guys who that thing you can't tell the story of without so and so, right? Kyrie's not that guy. He was a sidekick on one title team.
He's Uncle Drew,
and he hasn't done anything else in the NBA.
Not
if we're
yet.
being honest.
No.
We're probably going to get hate for that one. I think one of the biggest snubs. I mean, we'll continue to talk about who shouldn't be on here and things like that. But one of the biggest snubs for me is Klay Thompson. I do not know. He is absolutely over Damian Lillard, Russell Westbrook. May I even say Anthony Davis?
Yeah, but all three names you just said, I wouldn't even put on this list.
True. I wouldn't put him on either.
Westbrook belongs on the list. He's the all-time leader in triple doubles. He's an MVP.
Okay, there. Okay, I can see that. I can see.
Yeah,
that for Westbrook.
But as far as those other names,
prisoners of the moment, just because right now he's going through a rough patch in LA, they're gonna get it together. Come playoff time, y'all gonna see. All right.
They're gonna see from their couch what it's like.
For me, I'm gonna say Vince Carter. He didn't make the list, did he?
Yes, that's one. Yes.
I mean, he definitely had an impact on the game.
Yeah.
and he was there for a good 25% of the years of the.
Never mind that. Yeah. You talking about basically the longest tenured player in the history of the game.
And greatest. I mean, for a long time, you could probably make an argument otherwise now, but the greatest Raptor, they ever had, made it to multiple finals. I think he actually even won. I'm trying to remember if he was on that Mavs team or not.
I don't know.
I thought he was on there, but I can't remember for sure now.
I don't think so.
That's why he played for forever. You think they're part of a lot of things? Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Because there were a lot of guys on that team who you don't really think about, but Vince Carter. I mean, anybody who's a basketball fan recognizes that slam dunk contest that he won, right? Like it was the greatest ever. Like he made a big time impact on the league. He should for sure be on here. But the biggest snub, no question, is Dwight Howard. Howard.
I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you guys that. Do you think he was snubbed?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. He's a from a talent perspective and his career, he's a no question first ballot Hall of Famer. He won 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. He took Orlando to the finals by himself. He ended up getting his ring in LA. He's one of the greatest players of all time, period. Now, the everything when he tried to leave Orlando, people kind of their opinions turned on him when he was, it was kind of will he, won't he going to Brooklyn. And then, he had a couple rough spots with Atlanta and Washington, and people just and the first trip with the Lakers, like people kind of looked at him as a joke after that. But
that's because he went through like 5 teams in 3 years.
Yeah, but he was already well established at that point. Yeah. He was already a Hall of Famer before any of that happened. And a lot of guys on this list had periods in their career where, at the end where they were just like bouncing around the league, embarrassing themselves.
Yeah.
You know who wasn't doing that, Brady? Kobe. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, he spent seasons embarrassing.
He did it all in one spot. I understand what you're saying about Dwight, and I think you're absolutely right. I mean, obviously the three
defensive
players of the year. Yeah, he obviously was. I think if he had not gone to LA the first time, I think he makes this list. I think LA kind of messed him up mentally, his image, because of everything him and Kobe were going at each other for.
You mean Kobe was going at him? I didn't see a lot. I didn't see a lot of it going back the other way.
Well, when he left, he did. He was going at Kobe, but I agree with you. I think Dwight should be on this list, especially over at Damian Lillard. I mean, like, has Damian Lillard won an MVP?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No. He hasn't.
Okay.
I'm gonna just put this out there. Right? Like, Damian's a great player. Damian's still kind of in the middle of his career. and he's already taken a little bit of a beating on the show today. We got to find another example.
But I mean, okay, Chris Paul. But Chris Paul, I mean,
well, because all right, I'm not the biggest Chris Paul fan. We all know B's not a Chris Paul fan, but at a point that you start getting into record-setting numbers and like career record-setting numbers, like that's the type of stuff you got to do to get on a list like this. You know, you may not be a top half of the list guy, but there's certain things that when you accomplish it, that's the type of stuff you're looking for with a list like this. And when you start talking about all-time career numbers, that's the material. That's where you start. So, Chris Paul, I don't think should have been as high as he was put. Yeah. But yes, he should end up on this list. He was 29th
for reference.
The reason I keep bringing up Lillard is because when you look at this list and you're going down, I mean, there's other names, like I said, Dominique Wilkins. But then when you think about it, what Jose was talking about, saying, well, what impact did he have on the game? Like Dominique and with the dunk contest with Jordan, like when we talk about Vince, had amazing, dunk contest with Jordan. He did do decent in the playoffs. He made it exciting. He didn't. I think maybe he might have got to a couple Eastern Conference Finals, maybe one or two at the most. So. But I mean, so I could see why people put him on here. Obviously, okay, Chris Paul, but like D said, he was, he brought up why Chris Paul should be on this list. Karl Malone, Pete Maravich, maybe, you could make a case for him not being on this list. There's not a lot of names where I go, yeah, that guy shouldn't be on this list. So that's why I keep going back to Lillard. I mean, maybe
I understand. Like he doesn't belong there at all. And it almost seems like they did a 74-person list and they're like, oh crap, we forgot one.
But this is why I think.
Well, no, it's more like they did a 65-person list and got everybody from the Boston Celtics in the 60s. Sure. I'm not even joking. They got like the whole starting five plus the 6 man plus like 2 dudes that came in the 70s, and that's before even getting to like Larry Bird and some of the later teams.
Very true. The reason I say, and this is why I say, why isn't Klay Thompson on this list? Because on this list you have some of the greatest shooters ever. You have Ray Allen, you have Reggie Miller, you have Steph Curry. You have who else is a great shooter that I'm looking at here?
You can look at Dirk that way.
Dirk, obviously. Larry Bird. I'm so dumb. Larry
was a very underrated 3-point shooter.
Larry Bird. But I'm saying how do you not have Klay Thompson when he's probably third of the best shooters? It's like Steph, Reggie, and him.
I'll tell you the guy too, because yes, I mean, if Reggie Miller is going to be on the list, Klay Thompson absolutely should be. He's a better shooter than Reggie Miller, but and that's the only reason Reggie Miller's on the list. That and he made some gestures at Spike Lee, but we're talking about guys who really shouldn't be on the list.
They're going to start fighting in the chat. Reggie Miller's questionable. Yeah, really? And real quick, before we continue, I want to bring in the newlywed. In the group. He just recently got married, and this guy is a great guy to talk to. He's on the Ring Kings podcast, and that is Mr. Mikey himself. What's up, Mikey?
What's up, guys? What's up? Thanks for the intro. Listen, I already know how to ring on. Don't tell nobody.
Yeah, just let him tell it.
Look at when I got married, I had that ring on for like 2 days, and then I took it off. It gets mad itchy, and I did not like having that damn ring on. So it's nothing personal, but I didn't like it. But Mikey, we're talking about the NBA 75 anniversary list. Let's get your thoughts real quick before we continue the conversation. What's your thoughts on this list?
It's not bad. I feel like there are a few people that should be on it that's not. I kind of came in when y'all were talking about Klay. I agree with that. Klay should be on the list. One who I think was disrespected to most was Dwight Howard. Like we know Dwight is what he is now, but like early Dwight was that guy.
Yeah.
So I feel like Dwight probably was the biggest snub that I can think of at the moment. That should have been on the list. Other than that, I'm cool with it. I think the longer they make it, once they get to 100, like I think it's gonna start to be watered down a little bit.
Yeah.
And you'll find people on there who you thinking like maybe I'm not sure about that. Maybe I heard some people saying Vince Carter. That's another name that possibly should have been on the list. But
T-Mac,
yeah, man. Like
not T-Mac.
Let me ask you this, right? We understand like some of these players, they should be on there. But if we're doing an all-time draft, this is how I always picture it in my head. If we're doing an all-time draft, and you're on the clock, and it's between T-Mac and Russell Westbrook, who are you taking?
Are we? Hold on. Are we taking T-Mac? What? Are we taking T-Mac before he was injured?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm taking T-Mac.
Yeah,
We're taking T-Mac when he was injured.
Right. I mean, all these players at their peak is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Orlando Magic, early. Houston,
but I see what you're saying, Bill. Like, he didn't do it long. Even
Houston T-Mac, I probably would have taken.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean, again, like I said, it depends on what the purpose of the list is. If you're talking about, hey, these are just the 75 best players, he's very high on the list. I mean, unbelievably talented, Tracy McGrady. But if you're talking about telling the story of the league, he's nowhere near the list. He never even got out of the first round of the playoffs.
That's true. I
mean, he did.
Unless you count him being injured and being carried along, but like it's a thing.
Hey, it is what it is. And
it hurts me to say that. I love Tracy McGrady, man, but I mean, if that's what we're doing, if we're telling the history of the league, telling the story of the league, guys who had impact on the league, he's not one of those guys. Not really.
See, and it sucks because you're right. But then when you hear like someone like Kobe Bryant talking about Tracy and how Tracy was better than him, he could do everything he could do. God damn you, Brian! You just want to start with me early today, don't you?
I'm agreeing with your favorite.
I got another snub. That nobody's talking about. He should absolutely be on this list. Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace.
You're muted. Dave.
Defense never gets love. Okay. Four-time defensive player of the year? Four-time defensive player of the year, 6-time all defensive team, NBA champ.
Kicked off by Alice in the Palace.
And then wrecked the Lakers for years to come.
Man, he wrecked every team. You don't come in and hate.
5-time all NBA, 2-time rebounding champ, 6 all defensive 4-time defensive player of the year, and 2001, 2002 block champ. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna not pick on Lillard. Okay, because I'm not gonna do it because Bronny keeps taking offense to it. So look at the big men on this list. Who are you gonna put Ben Wallace over big men on this list?
AD.
Okay.
I love AD, man, but come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay, AD. AD. I can see AD, but I think that's about it.
If LeBron didn't get AD this ring, are we talking about AD in any capacity at all?
No.
Yeah.
No.
And he wasn't the man on the team, right? Like,
no.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got all the talent in the world, but I mean.
So let me ask you guys this then: if we gotta add Ben Wallace to the list.
Yes.
And one name that I just saw as I'm looking, what about Dikembe?
That's one that we were talking about as well. Like, you have Dennis Rodman on here because he's one of the best defensive players and rebounders ever, right?
Yeah.
But you're not kind of giving that consideration to other players.
Yeah.
So that's kind of odd, But yeah, I think Dikembe absolutely deserves to be on there, as does Ben Wallace. And this is what we kind of get into, where like maybe Dave Bing got to go. All right, who cares about Dave Bing? Maybe Dolph Shay's got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Dave Collins.
Yeah.
Really? We can kick him off.
Robert Parrish. I mean, look, not saying he wasn't a great player. He was.
All these guys are great. Yeah.
No, don't diss on Robert Parrish. Okay, Parrish.
I'm not trying to diss Robert Parrish. I'm just saying there are names that you could put up.
You know what?
Above Robert Parrish.
One name I was worried that they were going to keep off this list, and I'm glad they did it. Kevin McHale. He gets no love. Kevin McHale was one of the premier power forwards. No, see, God damn it, no, Kevin McHale stays on this list.
And he also helped shape the game to a degree, well, more so the position. But when it came to play in the post, like he was one of those players that helped shape how the game basically performed. The same way you would look at a Shaq and the way his physical prowess came into play in the post. Kevin McHale was. It may have been more the subtleties, it may have been more ingenuity, but when you get it done, you get it done.
Yeah. So okay. So now
also get James Worthy off this list.
No, God damn it, Rodney! You are pissing me off today. You leave James Worthy alone.
He should be
there. James. He should absolutely be there.
Okay,
God damn it, Rodney.
Should Robert Horry be there? He's a big shot.
No, where we go with that? Right. No, James Worthy was the.
I mean, Robert Horry was responsible for like 3 rings.
You know who I would take off, and this is going to be a very unpopular opinion. I would, like, a lot of people come in at Dame, and I get it. Mm-hmm. Kawhi could come off this list.
Yes.
Kawhi.
He got a chip. I get it, and he did it in Toronto. But Kawhi hasn't like.
Kawhi is a pro labor hero. All right, he got his championship in San Antonio, and he said, "You know what? I'm not playing for you no more." And then he went and got his championship in Toronto, and now look at him again this year. He said, "No thanks. This team kind of sucks. I'm a chill."
Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying, Mike.
Ushered in the era of load management.
Yeah,
Kawhi is the walking example of load management.
Yo, somewhere Drake is looking for a link to this StreamYard so he can get on here and fight you.
All right, so we're gonna get into a real deep conversation. I think this is where.
Before we go there, I just one other thing that really just annoyed me when I saw this list, and it was, let me try to find the number here real quick. It was number 62 on this list. Paul Pierce, well ahead of number 69, Carmelo Anthony. Disgusting.
It's because Carmelo doesn't have a ring. That's why.
And again, this is an ESPN ranking.
I don't care if he has a ring. He had to bring in Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen to drag his carcass to a ring. Not his carcass, but to a ring. Like that, I don't care. Carmelo was out there doing it by himself. Carmelo, he took Denver to the playoffs 9 straight years. He took the Knicks to the playoffs 2 or 3 years in a row by himself.
I completely agree with you. He did it by himself, and neither one of them should be on that list.
Carmelo absolutely should be. Carmelo is one of the greatest offensive players.
Look at, I'm going to tell you this. As a Laker fan, if Kobe wasn't in the playoffs with those Denver Nugget teams, those Denver Nugget teams would have won a championship. At least one. Those Denver Nugget teams were loaded, especially the Chauncey Billups one. The Iverson one was decent. The Iverson, Carmelo Anthony Nuggets team was okay. That Chauncey Billups Nuggets team, that team should have won a championship if it wasn't for Kobe.
You can take that. You can take that talk over there to James Harden if you want, but Carmelo absolutely belongs on this list.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to get into a little bit more controversy because then ESPN released another list. And that was the top 10. And here it is. The top 10 NBA players. Now, there are about 2 people that shouldn't be on this list. And 1 person that's a little...
I don't know.
Well, let me say this first. Let me add this caveat. We know with ESPN, they're all about clickbait. So when they throw this stuff out there, they're doing it to get a reaction. Like, I don't believe that they truly, whoever put together this list truly feels this is the true top 10. But they know, hey, I put this out there, people are going to react to it. You know what I mean? So I mean, just take that with a grain of salt. That's all I'm saying.
No, I get it, but this is pretty close to a top 10. I think this is what we're gonna. A lot of people are gonna. This will be their top 10, maybe a few spots different, but there's, to me, Wilt Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson shouldn't be on this list. You're disrespecting Shaq and you're disrespecting Hakeem Olajuwon.
Wait, and you're disrespecting the man that literally created the triple-double.
Yeah.
Hey, that's fine.
And Wilt
yeah,
averaged
yeah.
33 and
I got no problem with
but
I would keep
you
Oscar
just
Robertson on there. Yeah.
But you just said, Bronny, that Oscar Robertson maybe I would keep on there, but with Will, he's either too high or he shouldn't be on the list because you just said Paul Pierce had to get Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen to get him a championship. Will had to go to the Lakers to get Jerry West and Elgin Baylor to get him a championship.
But Paul Pierce wasn't averaging 33 and 25 though. So
but Davon's saying, well, Bill Russell played in a shitty era, so did Will. They played at the same era.
Yeah. No, I can get with
okay,
with
Devon. I am kicking you out of my should you ever say this again.
Hey,
okay?
You know what, Davon? I agree with you. I would swap Bird with
KD.
KD.
My God. Oh my God.
I'm taking KD over Bird all day.
You guys are just
listen. No, that's fine. But KD and Olajuwon. Well, let me because
Shaq. How do you not have Shaq?
Well, that's what I'm saying. KD, Olajuwon, and Shaq should be in there. So I'm thinking, okay, you get rid of Oscar, you get rid of Wilt, and
see, you start running out of spots.
Yeah,
like at a certain point.
You do run out of spots, but I'm saying like,
okay, KD can be 11. KD can be 11. Olajuwon and Shaq replace Wilt and Oscar Robertson.
Because, like, not even being funny, but I got, like I said, I'd put together my own somewhat. So, like, I'm looking at my top 10. Like, Olajuwon, he hit right at 11. But for the most part, a couple of them, for the majority of those guys are there. But my number one, and I promise ain't nobody else got him as a number one, but it's somebody I think truly changed the game in a radical way. But Julius Erving.
Dr. J, okay.
He did, but
like,
he's not my number one. But I hear what you're saying, yeah.
Because and it wasn't, it's not just how he played and what he brought to the game, but man also dominated the league. Also, like, he was basically that example of, people that transitioned from the ABA into the NBA. Like, that was why people were running to the NBA. They were trying to find that next Dr. J.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
People want to talk about things like hops and their ability to get above the rim. This man was trying to get above the backboard.
Yeah.
Now, I get what you're saying. I say, go ahead, Brady. My bad.
No, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say. I also they did kind of specify that this list was confined to their NBA play. So for the ABA stuff wouldn't count for Dr. J, which I think why he comes into 14. But no, I agree with most of what you said, except for the part where he's number one. He's not number one, but yeah, he should be a bit higher than they have him here. Absolutely.
Well, I think for like what D's saying that Julius should be number one is the same reason why I put Kareem number one, because to me Kareem changed the NBA, way before Michael did, and did it against all kind of competition. Like, that's my biggest argument against Michael was Michael played against the Detroit Pistons, couldn't get past them. Then he got past them because they changed the rule. I mean, someone tried to point this out. They're like, well, they changed the rules way after. No, they just started calling more fouls on Detroit, and Detroit couldn't play their game. So that's why he was able to get past them. To me, Kareem played against all the. He played against Wilt. He played against Russell. He played against Hakeem. He played against Robert Parrish. He played against Ewing. He played all the greats and usually could, dominate them. That's why I always put Kareem first, Jordan second. Magic has always been one of my top because he changed the game. And we've never, other than now with LeBron, where even he's not really a true point guard, where Magic was a true point guard. He was a true point guard playing at 6'9" and winning championships right when he came into the league. And I know everyone's gonna be like, well, he had Kareem, yeah, but look at the rest of that team. I mean, other than
they only had 2 top 5 players all time. Look at the rest of those bums.
Michael Cooper.
That's why. Look, I mean, I think for me and B, LeBron's is number one, right? But look, LeBron ushered in that positionless basketball, right? Like made it a standard in the NBA, right? Because like you're saying, like he's not a true point guard. He's not really a power forward. Like he does everything. And you've had players that could do some things like that in the past, but LeBron dominated the league like that, and it became a standard. It's like we got to get somebody like our big guys got to be able to do more than just post up, right? Like they got to be able to handle the ball. They got to be able to shoot. They got to be able to do all these things. Otherwise, we'll get killed out here. So like he completely altered the game, you know. And of course, you know, everybody wants to build a super team to stop him, even though he didn't invent super teams, but everybody wants to build a super team to stop him.
Like super teams have been around since like the 80s.
No, super teams have been around since the 60s and 50s.
Well, I mean, super teams are what the NBA is, and has always been.
Yeah, but I'm saying like but it wasn't people going out of their way to get the super team that they do now. Like it's blatant now. Like, oh, hey, we're talking.
You just have the ability to pass along information better than you could before. Now it's not a matter of you got to be located in a certain city or a certain side of the country to get access to information.
Well, players have more power now.
Yes, true, but I mean, just in the sense, from the fan perspective, you're able to know about more than you could 20, 30, 40 years ago. So it's not that anything different is happening. It's that you're being exposed to more of it than you could be. And so from the fan perspective, it's like, oh, this has never happened before. No, yes, this happened on a daily basis. You just didn't know about it.
I kind of push back on that because they weren't like when LeBron, D Wade, Bosh, and all of them were hanging out during the summer. You knew they were talking about it, even though they weren't supposed to be talking. And then they found ways to get to Miami.
That's not against the rules for players to talk about it.
Yeah,
well, I don't know. Okay, GMs can't talk about it, but they were basically the GMs. They're like, hey, do this, do that. Like, okay, cool, figure it out. When the Lakers got Magic, you know there was some backdoor dealing because how the hell did the Lakers, who made the playoffs, get the number one pick?
Right. That's the key difference in between back then and now, and why fans have a different reaction to it. It's because the perception now is the players are controlling it versus the teams, and fans don't like, certain athletes being in control of their careers.
Just say it, Brodney. Just say it. Just say it. Just say it. Just say it. It's okay. Say it. Say it. It's okay.
Say it.
Hey, just say it. It's okay. I'll say it with you. I'll say it with you. I'll say it with you.
No, but you see it all over sports. That's the problem with paying athletes in college. College football and basketball players. Fans in this country don't like young black athletes having control over their careers.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the perception with, you said LeBron and Bosh and Wade, they orchestrated that, not the teams, whereas, if it's the Bulls GM, making a move and bringing in Dennis Rodman, that's okay.
Even though Jordan stuffed him in the locker and said, look, it took you can come out when you get me Dennis Rodman.
He said if it's the Lakers, doing whatever they have to do to end up with Magic Johnson, that's fine. That's the Lakers doing that.
Yeah.
But people don't want to see LeBron orchestrating things.
It's such a ridiculous thing when you think about it, right? Like, how silly is that? Like, if the team does it, if the GM does it, the front office does it, then it makes it okay. Because why? Like, I would rather the player that knows himself and knows other players who he feels comfortable playing with or who he thinks he can win with. I'd rather it be on the players than the GMs. Like, obviously GMs have their role, right? But if a player, especially a superstar, is like, look, I know what it takes to win. Get me these guys. And the GM does it. That's the GM doing his job as well. Like, I don't have a problem with that. Like, why are people so opposed to players having
I'll tell you exactly why. Because sometimes the players say trade Kyle Kuzma and bring me Russell Westbrook instead of DeMar DeRozan, and then they quit midway through the season.
Hey, first of all, you get no sympathy from me. I'm a Nets fan. Sometimes the GM says, yeah, man, we need washed up Kevin Garnett. We need Paul Pierce, all right, and we'll give you our next 5 first-round picks. To have them on the team.
You said it was a bad deal, as if the Nets weren't better than Boston throughout that whole time period.
No, we definitely had our down years.
Overall, the Nets were.
I thought he was gonna say Harden.
Yeah, no.
Listen, like that Nets trade, that's probably one of the worst trades in sports history, right? Like we gave up.
The second was the Darren Williams trade by the Nets.
Why? Brian just woke up choosing violence today.
There was nothing wrong with that trade. What messed it up was Dwight Howard. This is the downfall of Dwight Howard.
It up was they traded for a point guard whose wheels fell off 2 years later.
Yeah, it was a good 2 years in between though.
It was.
Yeah. But yeah, like I mean, GMs they can do it worse than the players. They can get it just as wrong. So what does it matter whether it's the player or the GM doing it? He's a sniper.
Yeah, B is just
Chicago,
right? Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, Jose, and I think that for me, I don't mind players trying to do what's best for them. That's not what bothers me. I think one of the biggest thing was what James did to Cleveland, and I know I ain't the biggest Cleveland fan, but when you go on TV live and you have that whole thing, you think, oh yeah, he's gonna choose me.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say what he did for Cleveland because he
did do he made them relevant. He made them relevant. He came back. But I think doing it the way he did it publicly, and I think he's even said that he probably would go back and not do it.
Oh, I love it that way. I wish every player would do that. I loved it.
I didn't care for it. Not saying, hey, do you? I just didn't care.
I didn't care for it at the time either. But you know what? Then Cleveland fans went out and started burning his jerseys. And I was like, guess what? That's what you get. And you know why you get it? Because you act like that.
Yep. And then he comes back and wins him a championship. And
right.
And they're like, we love you.
Right. But even with that, didn't he raise a bunch of money doing that? Like he
did.
Yeah.
I think he also
Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah. Okay, as long as he raised money, then I'm not too mad. I'm not too upset about it.
But I mean,
I
get how like you made it a spectacle kind of, and it's like we never seen that before. If somebody's leaving, it just comes across the ticker like, such and such signed somewhere. So I get where people were upset, but
I wasn't upset about it. I just was like, I wouldn't. I loved it. But Jose likes that flashiness.
Yes,
you know what I do. I hope Lamar. I hope Lamar does the same thing. Do that. I hope Lamar does the same thing. He says, "I'm going to Pittsburgh," and then
I know you do, Suge. Because
see, the thing is, it's okay to have a press conference, but don't try and make it into this event more than it is.
Make it an event, man. Look. If Lamar had done that, obviously I would be happy he went to Pittsburgh, but it'll still be entertaining. Sports should be fun.
But listen, I hear what you're saying, Derek, and I get where you're coming from there. But what's the difference between a press conference and sitting down and doing an interview?
No, what I'm saying is don't intentionally do it in such a way where you're gonna blatantly shit on somebody and know you're gonna shit on somebody before you sit down.
But that's not what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
Not what happened. He said, "I'm gonna have a show where I'm going to announce where I'm signing." And every Cleveland fan, because they're Cleveland fans, said, "Oh, he wouldn't dare leave us publicly."
Right.
Because reasons.
No, I'm not a Cleveland fan, and everything that they was putting out about it was, if it was more than basically two teams, if this was nobody knew his free agency purposes and what he was going after and things like that, I think it'd be a little bit different. But to basically say, rumors are LeBron's going to Miami and then coming soon, the decision, where will I go? But
there were other teams in it. There were.
No, there wasn't.
There were rumors of.
There was Cleveland, Miami,
and New York.
New York always puts themselves in it, even though they never are.
Yeah, but that's what you're talking about. Is other
there was rumors of New York if they signed Bosh and brought in such and such. Then LeBron might come to New York.
I would have loved to know Ferris during that time. Because Ferris would have been
talking about other people's
LeBron's
reporting. Coming. Right? That's what you're talking about, is other people's reporting. He didn't put out the story that, hey, he's going to Miami. Other people are reporting that, and that's fine. That's their job. But he said, I'm making my announcement at, whatever time on ESPN.
Yes,
on
but
whatever
him,
date.
Bosh, and Wade made zero efforts to hide or even try and not make it public what they was doing.
It's not their job. They're not
no, I'm not saying it's their job, but they basically came out and said, hey, we all gonna play in the same spot next year.
They didn't come out and say that. The earlier that day, Bosh and Wade, they put out the picture of them sitting there with an empty chair in between them. Like
listen,
because it was a few hours before the announcement.
I'm telling you guys, man, if that were me, it would have been so much worse. I'd have made a WWE style. I'd have made it I would have had the Cleveland mascot come out, and I would have ran out there with a chair and just hit him over the back with it, and rip off my shirt and have a Miami Heat jersey on. Like, I would have done an NWO style if that were me. Like,
but my point is,
entertain me.
An announcement is an announcement, right?
Yeah.
And doing it in a press conference isn't any better than doing it on that show. It's just that, like you said, people got their feelings hurt with the show, and that's why it turned him into a villain. Because if he had gone to Cleveland, nobody would be saying anything. If he had gone to New York, nobody would be saying anything.
Right.
But it was
I'd still have the same point, because, like I said, it was basically known all three of them was going to Miami, regardless of
the media.
But that's what I'm saying. If LeBron had sat down and went, I'm staying in Cleveland, like, the fact that they basically made it damn near public knowledge that all three of us was going to be playing together and what their intentions was. That's what I'm getting at. Like, don't take efforts to shit on one side over the other. Like, it's one thing to sit down and be.
But that's how you took it, though. All he did was just say, "This is where I'm going." Like, he didn't, okay, he did it on prime time as opposed to daytime.
He didn't say, "I'm going to Miami, F Cleveland." He just said, "I'm going to Miami."
I would have said that too.
It's not. He's not.
Oh no, yes, he did, because he specifically said, "Oh, I'm taking my talents to South Beach." Like, everybody in Cleveland don't know how crappy Cleveland weather is.
Listen, New York weather's crappy too. So is Washington. So is a lot of places. Like, he didn't say anything about Cleveland. It was just the way they took it, because they're Cleveland and everything's got to be about them.
Yeah, that's true.
Very, very true. Very true. All right. Unfortunately, it has to be a short stream because I have to do some other stuff today. Some nerds. We gotta continue this. Oh, definitely. We're gonna definitely have this conversation. Definitely want to get
this might have to be a 5-part series as well.
No, we're definitely gonna be doing some more of this, whether it be on Lunch Break Hot Take or on my channel or on D's channel or Mike's channel. We'll figure it out. I love talking to you guys. It's always have good conversation with you guys. But before we get out of here, D, let people know where they can find you at.
You can find me at dweatherly90 on Twitter. And like my man said, I'll have a YouTube channel and some other things coming in the future.
For sure. Jose and Bronny, where can the great people find you?
All right, first and foremost, man, shout out to the LBHT crew, man. Tony Hendo in the chat. Our man Davon's in the chat. Shout out to Mikey, who's he be jumping in and out. There he is. Yes. All right,
these kids, man.
I already know. I already knew.
I got two running in the background. Like,
you're good, Suge, D Weezy, man. You're all part of the crew, man. But check us out at LBHT Show. Anywhere, any type of social media that you have, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We even have Pinterest. If you're on Pinterest, I don't post on it that much, but we got a Pinterest account at LBHT Show. All right. And we do a live show every Wednesday night at 7:15 p.m. Lunch break hot take. All right. So go ahead and holla at us.
Yeah. And you can also find us on along with Mikey on Ring Kings podcast. That'll be on YouTube as well as, anywhere you can download podcasts. And, I just want to say thank you to Suge for having us on.
Yes.
It's always a lot of fun talking sports with you. And also, I just want to point out that they absolutely had it correct having Tim Duncan over Kobe Bryant on that list. We're going to throw it over to Mike. Mike, let us know where we can find
you. Well, first, guys, I appreciate it. I was a little late to the party. It was a busy weekend for me, but I always appreciate the invite, so I had to try to make a point to get on here, even if it was for a little bit.
Oh, you got them husband responsibilities.
Yeah. But yeah, Suge, the crew, I appreciate y'all, man. Let's do this again. As you know, I'm OTR Mike. You can find me on everywhere, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you want to do, wherever you're at. Check out the podcast, Off the Record Podcast. We're everywhere as well. And then, as B said, Ring Kings Podcast, everything boxing. I'm going to say it's the best boxing show out already. But that's just me. That's the part that I talked a little bit of shit between the three of us. So check us out there and subscribe. Again, fellas, I appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure. And look, OTR, Mike, Rodney, Jose are putting on one of the best boxing podcasts out there. I agree with Mike. It's one of the best. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. And I love listening to their stuff because they bring up some excellent points. They really know what they're talking about. So make sure to check that out. Well, like Jose said, Tony, Dave, on everybody that was in the chat, appreciate you for hanging out. D Weezy, me and him are going to be doing some stuff together. And again, yeah, we'll definitely get back together and do some more talking, whether it's NBA, football, boxing, badminton. I know Mike knows some badminton. We'll definitely be doing that. But yeah, appreciate all of you guys for coming on and hanging out with me. This is one of the things I look forward to, is getting to talk sports with you guys in the Discord with you guys. It's always fun. And if you're not part of the Patreon for Jose and Brodney's Love Parade Hot Take, join it. It is one of the funnest things to hang out in the Discord and talk God knows what we feel like talking about on those days. It's really fun. Music, sports, comics, movies.
Yo, I be trying to make people their subscription back.
Yeah. Lunch money bets, man. Yeah.
And if you're a degenerate, go. D Weezy's always talking about gambling in there, so make sure you join that. Once again, if you're watching this video later, please make sure to like, share the video, hit the subscribe button. Trying to get to 100 followers on my channel. Going to be doing a lot of different things here, whether it's sports, just having a casual conversation, maybe a little bit of Schmodown talk. I don't know yet. After last night's show, I don't know if I want to talk Schmodown, but we'll see. We'll see. But again, thank you very much for joining us, hanging out with us. It was always a pleasure. We're going to be doing more of this, like I said. And like I said, make sure to hit that subscribe and the like button and share this video. Have a good day. Talk to you later.